Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how I put together this Mother Nature inspired character featuring this green headpiece and this tree growing out of my hand. So let's get started. I'm starting off by priming and moisturizing my face and then popping in my green contacts. Then I'm going to move on to foundation, concealer, and setting that with powder. I'm going to kind of gloss over this section because I feel like it's not very crucial to the look, but if you have questions about my routine, feel free to leave those in the comments. Now I'm going to throw on my brown wig and then dust off that excess powder on my face. Now on to the fun stuff. Using a clean fluffy brush, I'm going to pick up the coolest brown shade in my NYX Highlight and Contour palette and go ahead and contour the sides of my forehead, my cheekbones, the inner corner of my eyebrows where my eyebrow bone connects to my nose bone, and then contour my nose. And I'm also going to contour into a rounder shape. Switching over to this darker brown shade, I'm going to go back into those same areas and just build up and blend out color a little bit more. Now using a small, clean, fluffy blending brush, I'm going to go back over those same exact areas and blend even more just to make sure I don't have any harsh lines or marks. Still using that darkest shade of brown, I'm going to move on to contouring my neck and my collarbones. So I'm going to start out by contouring the center of my neck and then move on to the outside of my neck where my collarbones are. So I am kind of measuring using my fingers and my neck to see where my neck and collarbones naturally sink in, if that makes sense. And I'm using that to create a more realistic contour. You don't have to do it this way, but basing your contour on your natural proportions is going to make it easier on you and more realistic in the end. Now once I have those shapes drawn on, I'm going in with a clean fluffy brush and blending them out a bit more. Now I'm going to use this shimmery olive green eyeshadow and go in with that same fluffy brush on top of all of those areas I have contoured on my face. Now I chose these colors because I wanted my Mother Nature to look very natural, like she had actually been living in nature. She was kind of dirty, resembled the outside environment. I wanted her to look like she was part of nature. So that's why I'm going with kind of these greens and brown shades. Next, I'm using my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk, and I'm going to apply that in the inner corner of my eye and use my finger just a little bit to blend that in. Now this is going to help my eye appear brighter in that inner corner and also provide a good base for the highlight that's going to go there and help it appear brighter. Using that same dark brown from my contour palette, I'm going to apply that in the outer corner of my eye and sweep it into the crease of my eye, just gradually building up color. Using a clean fluffy brush, I'm going to blend that out. Using a smaller, flatter packing brush, I'm going to go right back into that green shimmer shade that we were using earlier and pack that right on top of my lid, all the way to the outer corner, but leaving that inner corner empty. I'm using that same shade to smudge color under my bottom lashes, all the way from the inner corner to the outer corner, and then taking a little bit of that brown shade again and smudging it in the outer corner under my lashes. And once again, I am blending everything out. Using the highlight from this palette, I'm going to highlight the inner corner of my eye and just blend that gradually into the green. I'm also going to highlight under my eyeshadow in the outer corner just to clean it up a little bit and under my eyebrow bone. Using a black eyeliner pencil, I'm going to line my bottom and top waterlines with black and then apply black mascara to my top and bottom lashes. Next, I'll be using this textured Stipple Sponge to dip back into that darkest brown from the same palette and make freckles on my forehead, cheeks, and nose. I am dabbing these freckles with my finger just to make sure that they look more natural and realistic and don't look like perfect circles and perfect shapes. Using that same highlighter, I'm highlighting my cheekbones, my cupid's bow, and my chin. With a washable glue stick, I'm going to cover up and protect my eyebrows from any adhesive by just applying a thin layer right on top of my brows and smoothing it out. Now on to creating my grassy eyebrows. First, I'm applying a thin layer of skin-safe adhesive right on top of that washable glue stick and using this craft moss, which can be found at any craft store, applying that right on top and shaping it into an eyebrow. Next up, I'm going to pop on my green headpiece. Stay tuned if you want to see how I made this because it is part of this tutorial. And then I'm going to move on to applying grass and moss to my chest and neck. I'm using the same method as before here. I'm just applying a thin layer of adhesive and then sticking that fake grass and fake moss right on top of it. Now for this look, I really wanted to have one grassy or mossy shoulder without ruining my dress. So I did this by folding a piece of paper around that strap of my dress and then taping that down using duct tape very gently. So next up, I used hot glue only on the portions that had multiple layers protecting my skin. Do not put hot glue right on top of the tape that is directly on top of your skin because you will burn yourself. But I hot glued moss and leaves and things onto the portions that had multiple layers to protect me, and then using the skin safe adhesive, I glued around the areas that weren't protected with the multiple layers of fabric. Again, I am using the same method of adhesive and the moss to create grassy or mossy cheekbones. I'm applying a brown liquid lipstick and then dabbing on some of that highlighter into the center of my lips with my finger. Next up, I'll be creating the illusion of the tree growing from my hand. So the first thing you're going to need is a little tree, of course. And I made this just by picking up 3 little twigs with leaves already on them from outside. They're just 3 little ones that I hot glued together using my hot glue gun and then created little roots with hot glue. So I'm going to start out by cleaning the palm of my hand where I'm going to apply the tree and then applying a layer of adhesive to that palm and also applying a layer of adhesive to the underside of my tree and roots. And once that begins to be clear and tacky, you're ready to adhere those together and just hold it on until you have a good firm hold. Using a little bit of liquid latex on a cosmetic wedge, I'm going to go around the roots of the tree trunk and just seal them in a little bit better. And then once that's dry, dust that off with powder just to take away the shine. Using a brown paint, I'm going to go ahead and paint the trunk of my tree brown and then cover over that with a lighter brown so that you can see more of the texture of the tree. I'm going to pull that lighter brown down into the palm of my hand, apply a little bit more latex around the roots, and then apply some of that mossy grass stuff around the tree to make it look like it's growing out of grass. I'm also going to apply a little bit of that moss around my fingers. And this is the finished result. Now on to creating the headpiece. So this is what my finished piece looks like. I'm starting out using a baseball cap. I'm using a green one, although it doesn't really matter what color you use because you're going to cover it up with a lot of stuff, or you can always spray paint it before you get started. I'm going to cut off the bill and also cut off these excess little strings and then pop it right back onto my head form. Next up, I'm going to cut a V shape in the front of my cap where it's going to come down towards my nose. Now I want to give my headpiece some height, so I'm taking a styrofoam ball, cutting that in half, and then hot gluing half of that to my cap. Then that bill that we cut off just a minute ago, I'm going to take that and glue it onto the front, but I did snip the edges so that they didn't protrude past the styrofoam ball, and I'm going to secure that with hot glue. Those edges that we cut off of the bill, I'm going to then attach to the sides of the ball just to give it a little more structure and support. The next step is just to decorate your headpiece to your liking. So I personally went outside and cut a bunch of branches and twigs and leaves and things off trees. And then I also bought a few artificial elements like the fake moss and some flowers and things, and just put a variety of those onto my cap and built it up until I had the shape and the effect that I wanted. Now I stuck with mostly greens and a few brown elements on my cap because I wanted it to match kind of my landscape, which is mostly green and brown since I live in the desert. However, if you want something more colorful, you can definitely incorporate more artificial flowers to just give it more pops of color. And ultimately, this was pretty simple and it held up really well to our strong wind out here, so I was very pleased with the end result. And that is the whole look from head to toe, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed creating it. It was really moving and inspirational to be able to create this nature-inspired look and film outside in the rising sun. And I just felt like it was a really beautiful piece that I'm really proud of. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me those in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I'll see you guys next time.